kind of reviewing the Illinois game and the end of the first half, the beginning of the second half, where they kind of grabbed control of the game. Illinois didn't seem to be running a lot of offense there. It was just more one-on-one type stuff, isolation type stuff, getting to the basket. Just in your mind, what can you guys do defensively to combat that? I know some of those were mismatches with their length and everything else, but just if somebody else tries to put you in that position, what can you guys do to maybe change the trajectory there?
Yeah, that was a big stretch for us. Clearly the game was back and forth up until that point, and I think the ability to guard the ball is an emphasis right now. We're spending a lot of time on it. Moving forward, we're going to have to be tougher, more physical. As Coach mentioned after the game, just nastier. We've talked to our guys about being tougher, being nastier on the ball. So, some of those mismatches of the isolations down in the post where, we're on Bruce and some smaller guys that we probably got to come down and help. And then obviously you trap it and then you got to scramble out of it. So there's a couple adjustments. We got to keep our matchups that we think are favorable and not put Bruce in some of those in those situations. But as long as we're tougher and more connected, I like and we believe in our defense. So they'll be better moving forward. Illinois is a good offensive team. They got a lot of scoring. They can score in different ways. And, for us, we had to try and guard the ball better. We had to stop in transition. And they went on a run in those two segments, clearly.
Do you feel like offensively that it was a little bit of a step forward, I guess, in this last game? I mean, I know Bruce struggled a little bit against the length, but otherwise, some other guys felt like they were starting to kind of get back into a rhythm a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. We were really proud of Roddy Gale on the offensive end. Obviously, Jamison made some shots. The biggest thing is finding some balance right now offensively. We've had great stretches with our guard play early, and Bruce Thornton has clearly been on the top of everybody's scouting report. And, the attention on him has certainly been hard for the kid. But he's going to shoot it better. He's proven he can make shots. Our balance was really good. Obviously, we scored 50% of our attempts, so we were pleased with that end. Didn't turn it over, and that should help our defense. So I think if we can be organized and script it the way we did, I think I think it'll help our defense as well.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to Andy Anders with Andy Backstrom on deck. Andy.
Iowa here, top 40 offense in terms of offensive rating, scoring 84 points a game. What about them is tough to stop, and they obviously have several guys that put up a lot of points for them.
Yeah, no, their tempo is really high. They've always played fast. They've played loose. Franny does a great job giving them freedom. They're right now they're getting a lot of production from Perkins, who's always hurt us. But they got good skill. They can shoot it well. They can play early in the clock. And right now they got the kid Freeman inside, who's really giving them another weapon at the basket. So another huge test for us with a team that's playing fast, playing in transition, as Illinois did. So we're going to have to build our defense. We're going to have to be tough on the ball, and we're going to have to contest shooters. So it's a big challenge for us on the road. We've had a good day of mental prep yesterday. Today we'll hit a little bit more and go into tomorrow ready.
All right, we'll go Andy Backstrom and Patrick Ingalls on deck. Andy.
Hey, Mike. How can you help your guards, especially with all the hedging you guys have faced, especially Bruce, when these shots aren't falling from the outside? Like, how can you still find ways to get the ball inside when you're facing hedging?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we've seen a hedge a lot this year because of Bruce and Roddy, because of the threat in a ball screen. So I think we got to make quicker decisions. We got to get it out of the trap quicker, whether that's to trust the short roll or get it behind the defense so you can draw two and maybe play out of a scramble. But I also think we got to, we just got to be stronger in the trap. Whether it's a snap, out of the trap and make a one more and then drive a closeout. It's going to be a big challenge for us against Iowa is driving closeouts and reading the game. And I think, we trust and believe in Felix and Zed and those guys rolling and short rolling and having the ball in their hands. All those guys are skilled enough and capable of making plays. And it's a credit to Bruce. They're trying to get it out of his hands. And that's where the balance comes in that I mentioned, that, we're not going to put him in as many ball screens. So maybe he can be off the ball. He can run off screens and attack closeouts. So we're being creative right now, trying to limit some of those traps and obviously take the pressure off of Bruce Thornton.
All right, we'll go Patrick Ingles and then Tim Miller. Patrick.
Hey, Mike, thanks for doing this. So another thing that Coach Holtman said after the game was that he doesn't feel that the team is responding well to adversity, specifically with with being able to withstand runs from the other team. So I guess do you kind of feel that way too? Do you think your team's responding well to that those opposing teams' runs, and maybe what can your team do to maybe be able to better withstand that?
Yeah, no, Coach was spot on, and I think that's a lot of that is experience and youth and learning how to win. But at the same time, we're in a good spot throughout the game. We make runs, they make runs. I think we gotta try and extend the runs that we have. And early in the season, we've had double-digit leads, whether it's the Penn State games or early on, and we have to extend those. So for us to kind of beat the runs of opponents, we have to make more runs on our end. And I think for us, it's gonna hopefully start with some of our offense. Can we move from an 11-point lead to a 14 to a 16 by having high percentage offensive possessions? And I think if we can be a little tougher in those adversity moments, then I think the runs can bounce back in our favor. But it's college basketball. There's good players and they're going to make shots, and I think we have good players, and I think our toughness has got to get better. Clearly, our resilience, and we got to respond to whether it's a road run or a home run where Wisconsin goes on a run late. So we're working on that right now. We'll be better moving forward, and I think this is a process, and those young guys they're learning how to win, and we're close. We just got to finish some games.
All right, we'll go to Tim Miller and then Patrick Murphy. Tim.
Hey, Coach, thanks for doing this. I have a more, I guess, broader question just about your experience with Coach Holtman. Obviously, you've been with him for several years now. How does this season compare to previous seasons you spent time with him where you faced adversity like this?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. I think the outlook is always positive. I think coaches, he's terrific in bouncing back. He's terrific with building guys up the next game. And I think that has not changed. I think what we're looking at right now is a team we're trying to be at their very best. And how do we get this team to be at their very best? And that's always different every year. So I think through the years we've had teams that were really good inside. I think that's been a difference. The scoring of EJ Liddell or Caleb Weston, guys that you can really just anchor it to a little bit. Zed and Felix have gotten some touches, but they've got more stuff in ball screens, and they're certainly doing a great job on the glass, and they're doing a great job defensively. But I think that's an area of an interior presence that coaches kind of always had, that we're even with Justice Suing or guys where you could drive to post and you could have wings that could give us an element inside. I think coach is really working on right now. Is that Evan Mahaffey? Is it Zed Kiefer? More post ups, and so we're really trying to respond with more balance offensively. And I think that's kind of what the direction of this current season has looked like.
All right, Patrick Murphy and then Whitney Harding. Patrick.
Thanks for doing this, Mike. Chris was talking about the other night, progress in the Illinois game, but obviously not the result you wanted. So when you see that, but you don't have a result, especially with so many young guys, how do you communicate that to them in order to keep positivity during a tough stretch?
Yeah, it's the small wins. I think it's having stretches longer. I think it's rebounding it better. Seeing guys make shots. I think when that stuff happens, you have to emphasize that. You have to encourage that more. And I think it's easy always to look at the game days and the game ups and downs. But for us, we see them every day, and we see these guys have success in practice, and you see them grow in practice. And so, those moments are positive. Those are the small gains that we're celebrating as well. And I think, that's going to lead to better defensive possessions. It's going to lead to hopefully our 3-point percentage, taking off a little bit more going down these next 10 games. And we have to finish the second half of the league stretch well. And I think us shooting the ball better and obviously being tougher guarding the ball are two areas we have to celebrate when that stuff happens. And that's our focus.
And a lot of this stuff that you and Coach Holtman, other assistants, even players have said, sounds like there's a lot of mental things going on. When you have that and you're working through these things that you're talking about, how do you overcome mental challenges that aren't what these guys are used to, especially young guys who have had so much success growing up on the basketball court?
Yeah, for us, it's simplifying things. You simplify the game. It's one possession at a time. It's one game at a time. For us right now, we're going to approach practice. We're going to stay present. And so if you simplify things and if we make a 4 to 6 point run and let's now worry about the next possession. And so I think there is an element of this whole pressure that's on these guys all the time to win the game and the result of the game. And for us, it's to simplify it and win the possession at hand and make sure that we're at our best through a 4-minute stretch. And those 5 guys on the floor, they're at their very best at that possession. So I think there is an element of a mind game, all the time in sports. We all get that. It's not easy. But if you can stay hopefully in the moment and feel good about, the possession you're in, that's going to help you moving forward.
All right, then we'll go Whitney Harding and then finish up with Adam Jardy. Whitney.
Hey, Mike. A couple questions ago, you mentioned needing to be tougher in those big moments. This might be an easy question, but not so much of an easy answer. How do you coach that?
Yeah, I think it's you rely on your habits. Do your habits well, and so the things that you do every day, and it's guarding the ball, it's playing with force, it's doing your job and doing your job with physicality. It's you're reminding those guys that we've done that you've trained yourself to be tough, to know the assignment, know the scouting report. And I think you just, you tell them to do it just a little bit better. And we believe in you. We believe in the success you've had. Let's do it again and do it again and do it over and over. And I think, for a young group or a group that's just struggling, those are two separate things. And I think for those two groups, you have to find where they're good. And I think, and then you have to stick to what's working. And we're certainly, when we're at our best, we're rebounding it well. You got to be tough on the glass. And we have to be obviously tough in the half court defensively. So I think you remind them of, just kind of the habits that we've built and obviously the system that we have in place that they've worked hard at and they've spent time in day to day, and just keep believing it.
And I jumped on a little late, so forgive me if somebody already asked this, but it's February 1st. There still is some time to go on a run here and to finish strong, but it is dwindling. Is that something that you guys are talking about? Like, hey, we still have time here to get this thing moving.
No, I think there's great optimism still ahead. 10 games is a lot of games to play, and you got some teams that are in the middle of the pack just like us. The reality is we're 2 games away from 5th place in the league. It's the real kind of reality that you have to look at. You can't worry about yesterday. You can't worry about maybe one you dropped on the road. You have to move forward. And for us to kind of, take care of Iowa, that's our main focus. And then after that, we'll approach the next one. But, you got to win one game at a time. You got to approach it one game at a time. But again, we're still in position to have a great run finishing out here. And that's where our head is.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, we'll finish up with Adam Jardy. Adam.
Hey, Mike, sorry for being late on this. I see you pregame, pretty much every game, working with Tayson Chapman and getting shots up with him. What is he going through right now? And what sort of things are you trying to talk him through in some of those moments where you're sitting on the bench with him before a game, just talking like that?
Yeah, Tayson's biggest focus right now is on, on experience, and it's development and workout, development in practice, and it's hard for freshmen to get a rhythm ever, and they need those early games, early training camp, to kind of have some, some ups and downs, and unfortunately Tayson's injury didn't allow that to happen. So right now we're focusing on being better, in practice and stacking days together in practice, and he's working out well. He's having good moments in practice. Just the experience right now, just has never happened for him because of kind of the slow start after the injury.
Yeah, what do you see from him on a daily basis in practice? Because he was a guy that for a little while there was getting a couple of minutes, and now he hasn't played in a little bit. Like, what is holding him back aside from that, like you said, that early season injury that did rob him of all that time?
Adam, I'm sorry. Say that over. I lost you.
Oh, no worries. What is the challenge for him to try to get back to a little bit of a role where he was giving you a couple of minutes and recently he's not playing at all? I mean, obviously, like you said, the preseason held him back, but what is the holding him back from carving out a role on this team right now? What is he not doing in practice, or what do you need to see more of him to get on the court?
Tayson still, right? Tayson Chapman, you still saying?
Yes. Yeah.
No, it's a good question. Tayson's for us, his skill and IQ is what we've always loved. He's got a great feel. He gives us more ball handling. He's a good shooter. So those things are things we've always known about him. Right now, it's understanding the physicality of the college game, and getting reps defensively, getting reps against college players. And so he didn't have 45 practices to beat up against Bruce Thornton and Roddy Gale and guys that have got college bodies. And so right now we're trying to stack those together for him. And he's got to be ready when his number's called. And that's the outlook we're giving him. That's the hope he's still got. And if coach calls him down the line, then he's going to be ready to go. So that's for him to kind of continue to work through. And to his credit, he's a pleasure to work with. He works hard every day, and he's, if his number's called, he's got to be ready.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
All right, Coach. Thanks. I see Devin's on here. We're going to slide him in.